Have you ever been to a golf course and seen the golfers measure a shot from a billion angles and take way too much time to set themselves up before they make the simplest of shots? Well, to achieve excellence, you must have a high level of skill and coordination, and practice makes perfect. So be prepared to feel better about your golf as we look at some of the biggest failures in 2022. First up, Rory McIlroy goes way off course. For those of you who aren't familiar with the rules of golf, the very first stroke on a hole is struck off a tee. A tee elevates the ball by about 2 inches and makes it easier for the player to launch the ball as long as they can. Thanks to the tee, the first stroke is considered the easiest to get right because there's less chance for the player to accidentally hit the ground and miss the ball. Despite all that, Rory McIlroy somehow managed to mess his first shot up. Imagine hitting the driver off the tee and watching the ball curl straight into the sea. Rory McIlroy didn't really have to imagine. He stood there in shock at the Abu Dhabi HSBC Championship. He was trying to clear the water hazard, but his ball sailed far left and far right into the very thing he was trying to avoid. In his defense, he had no way of knowing what the wind would be like over the water. As it turned out, it was way too strong for the stroke he chose to go for. It looked like the ball changed direction on purpose just to mess with poor Rory. Next up, Miguel Angel Jimenez thumbs up through the frustration. Inconsistent if they wish to get even a birdie, let alone an eagle. There is a hole-in-one and an albatross up for grabs, but those are very, very rare. Even the best players in the world just stick to going for eagles and birdies. It's the consistency that separates them from the mediocre players. Miguel Angel Jimenez, sadly for him, somehow got on the bad side of fate. He worked his way almost onto the green, but just missed it. Since he couldn't use the putter unless he was on the green, he had to lob the ball onto the green. He took his time setting up for a stroke, but when he eventually struck it, the ball just jumped up and landed exactly where it was before. Have you ever been in a situation where you're chipping into the green and the golf barely moved? Miguel Angel Jimenez experienced this at the Ras Al Khaimah Championship, hosted by Phoenix Capital. He messed up his chip shot, and the ball only rolled a few feet. That really wouldn't feel good. Up next, Viktor Hovland's trip to the sand. This is yet another example of random misfortunes happening to even the very best players in the world. Aiming for the grass past the bunker, Viktor slightly nudged the ground when striking the ball, and to his surprise, and we're sure sheer frustration, the ball looped straight into the sand. Bunkers are what we call traps in golf. If you accidentally fall into them, it's a long way back. Due to the texture of the sand, it is much tougher to strike the ball properly, making it very difficult to chip the ball out of it. Viktor would have hated every second of setting up the next stroke. Having fun so far? Well, stay with us because the ones next are even crazier. Coming up, Ryan Fox faces a universal issue. How about the dreaded 3 putts? We've all missed the green and then had to putt the ball from off the green. This can happen to anyone, no matter whether they're just newbies or total pros. Ryan had already had his fill of misfortune when his stroke fell just short of the green, making it much more difficult to putt the ball in the hole. Ryan Fox had a bad run in the Ras Al Khaimah Classic. He managed to get within 2 feet of the hole from off the green, which is pretty difficult to pull off. But then when he walked up to basically push the ball into the hole, he decided the task to be simple enough to not require any setup. He whiffed on a putt that was just 2 feet from the hole and had to use up another stroke to get the ball in. Then it all went downhill for Shane Lowry. This one is more of a case of the golf gods having a laugh than a case of bad golf. Shane found himself facing upwards rather than forwards. If he put too much power on it, the ball would miss the hole and go straight on. But if he put too little power, the ball would roll back down the hill. He took some time to consider his options and ended up doing exactly what he wanted to avoid. He got pretty close to the hole, only to see the ball agonizingly roll back down to his feet. Why couldn't it just be about how far you can go? And then the overpowered James Morrison. This one started already in a pickle. James Morrison was stranded in a bunker with the green patch staring right at him. Everyone thought he would chip the ball onto the green. It was only a question of how close you can get to the hole. James had other ideas though. James Morrison sliced his bunker shot thin at the Ras Al Khaimah Classic, ball first and far over the hole. He now had to walk past the hole and make his shot from the other side. That's the equivalent of coming home, looking at your bed from the door, and then going back to the office. Up next, Sepp Straka's opening misery. The shorter holes can be especially challenging sometimes. You can't go full power because then you'd go out of bounds and have to start over. Sepp knew this and was very about how much power he was going to put into it, but despite taking caution before striking, he hung his head back as soon as he hit it. The ball went sailing over everything, including the hole, and out of bounds, meaning Sepp would have to start over having already made 2 strokes. He knew he messed up before the ball even landed. Now that's a sign of a good player. Sepp Straka botched his opening shot at the WGC Dell Technologies match play, and on top of that, his third shot landed up on the green but rolled off. Talk about bad luck. Now Romain Langasque and the Great Wall. This is a weird one. Normally players can see the hole even when they're at the tee, but Romain was less than 100 meters from the hole, but all he could see was a wall of rocks. But that's okay, right? Nothing a little chip shot won't fix. Well, no. He somehow got too close to the wall, and now it would have to be a very steep loop if he was able to make it to the green. He tried it, and the ball just rebounded from the wall to land even closer to the wall. What now? Maybe you can blame the people who came up with the idea to put a wall so close to the hole. It was like going for the first floor from the ground. Finally, let's look at a flop shot by Matthias Schmidt. You'd think after thousands of chip shots to make it to the green, these players would always get it right. Okay, maybe one miss hit can be forgiven, but twice? Yeah, they're tough to nail, particularly in deeper roughs, but Matthias Schmidt is one of the best, and we have a right to expect better. He attempted a loop shot from a tough lay at the magical Kenya Open presented by ABSA, but it didn't really fly far. He saved it though. He gracefully stamped on the grass to make sure there weren't any bumps made by his club, and walked 3 steps to make his next stroke. He set up again, and the exact same thing happened again. He tried his stamping save again, but it didn't look real the second time. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice? There are plenty more where those came from, but sadly, that's all we have time for. For the record, we mean no disrespect to any of the players mentioned in this video. Viewers don't know the amount of hard work and patience that goes into getting that good at a sport. We hope they also look back at their blunders and find them amusing. Remember to leave a like and subscribe to our channel, guys. Leave a comment if you ever made an error on the golf course, and now laugh about it. We'll see you guys later.